Good morning, guys. Probably going to be a quick check-in today. Getting a little skeleton look going on. Probably means we're right on track. So, big week. Holy crap. 8 weeks out from the Alberta Open. Thanks for following this journey. Getting lots of great support online and Facebook and whatnot. Even from my sponsors reaching out to me, encouraging me, sending me products. Very, very grateful for that. Thanks to Revolution Nutrition. Obviously, I Am 8, my daily health drink that I take every day. Fabulous product. Get a chance, check out those sponsors, really helps us. So yeah, big changes this week. If you saw the other video that I did, I hired a coach. What the? I did something that I said that I wouldn't do. And here's the thing that I vastly overlooked because I haven't competed in a couple years now, but you think that I would remember. But come around this point in the prep, now we're 8 weeks out, you're starting to manipulate carbs a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second. But the brain power just is not where it needs to be, because at this point, we're in such a deficit and we're doing so much activity, still up to 15,000 steps per day on the incline treadmill. I split it up over 2 parts. I'll go and do about an hour and then just go about my regular daily routine. So I'm obviously adding some steps there, and then whatever it is in the evening, I just polish it off to 15,000 with 10 minutes on the treadmill being 1,000 steps. So it's a good number to remember if you know how many steps that you need to get left, and you just finish them off on the treadmill. One of my training partners, Max, has got a great idea. He's got one of those walking treadmill pads for home, so he can kind of just like work on his laptop or whatever and get his steps in. So for those of you who say, hey, I'm too busy to get my steps in, there you go. Especially if you're at home doing something, you can be watching TV or whatever. And those things are pretty reasonable on Amazon. I got my store link down below. I think I've got a couple on there that look pretty good. I put the one on there that he has, which he highly recommended. I think it's like a couple $100 or something like that. So it's not like you're having to go out and spend thousands on a treadmill, and you always have it. So 8 weeks out, hired a coach, Paul Barnett, from see, brain's going. It's going. From anabolicbodybuilding.com. I watch his YouTube channel all the time. Very, very informative gentleman. We're around the same age. He's 50. I'm 55. So I know that he understands the needs of the aging athlete, shall we say. Who am I kidding? I'm entering the Masters men's physique over 40 and also the over 50 class, and I figured, hey, I'm already there, so let's do the open class as well with these youngsters, and just to see how I fit into the mix. Why not? You're already there, right? More time on stage, the better. That's why you're going there, to enjoy yourself. So face is getting sucked in. So what Paul has me doing is we started carb cycling, which means there's just periods during the week where you're adjusting your carbohydrate intake. Food pretty much stays the same, just the quantities shift around a little bit, and the food timing shifts around a little bit. Primarily, exclusively to carbohydrates. There you have the carb cycling. So we have low days, which I'm going into the first 2 today. Not looking forward to those because it's just protein and fat for the entire day. Very, very minimal carbs. Whatever the trace carbs are, and like nut butters or whatever. And I keep this simple. What Paul does is he doesn't give me a meal by meal breakdown like I suppose he could, but I think he knows I know my stuff in that area. So he gives me just a macro breakdown. So right now we're 6 meals a day for the low days with 40 grams of protein per meal. So that comes up to roughly about 5 ounces of chicken. So I'll have 6 chicken meals and chicken for breakfast. You know, I don't have to. I can choose other lean protein sources, but you just want to, at this point, you just want to keep it easy. You don't want to have to use your brain. And like I said, one of the big reasons why I hired him is I just wanted to detach myself from the entire thought process. I just want to plug in, you know, you've come this far, and you know, you hate to think that your mental acuity is going to be playing tricks on you as far as when to make adjustments and what adjustments to make. And it's very good to have a trained professional eye on you with your check-ins as well, in order to make those adjustments at the right time and not get overzealous. Because this week I'm at my lowest weight. I can't remember when the last time I weighed this. I weighed less than what I did at the very first show in 2021, where I weighed 225.6. I woke up this morning 224.9 at the beginning of the day. So I messaged Big Paul. I was like, Paul, what the heck, man? It's just falling off me. And that typically will happen with the carb cycling, because you're shifting your macros around a little bit. So you're going to be dropping quite a bit of water as well, because it's a keto-esque diet kind of on certain days. So on the low days, I get 240 grams of protein and whatever the trace carbs are. I think it's probably under 50 or so for the day. Calories are the same. He actually bumped up the carbs a little bit on the medium days. We'll talk about that. But after the 2 low days, it's an exciting day, because you get a high day where I'll be having 650 grams of carbs throughout the day. And he said those can be sugary carbs as well, which includes like cereals and stuff like that. But I'm not going to opt for the cereals. I'll probably stick with the rice cakes and cream of rice, a little bit extra, regular rice, a little bit extra, because I enjoy the meals. It's just, you know, when the quantities are low, it's just you're never really completely satisfied. It's like, it's a good tasting meal, it's just not a hell of a lot of it. So after the high day, 600, the idea behind the high day is you're, call it the refeed, is you're replenishing muscle glycogen. I don't know what the hell just happened there. But hey, let's roll with it. So you're replacing muscle glycogen, which is pretty much tapped out at this point. It's going to be your primary driver for energy, and that's probably why I'm dragging my ass a little bit more this week. I'm definitely finding cardio a little bit more challenging. I'm definitely generating a lot more energy on it. A good point too is because of the decreased weight. As your weight decreases, your activity is staying the same. Typically you don't need that much activity anymore because you weigh less. But when you keep pushing on, it keeps driving that fat loss effect. I imagine it gets to some point where you can probably dial it back. I'm hoping that point comes pretty damn soon, because I'm hurting here. My sleep has been, well, kind of shit. I think I'm overstimulating with caffeine, probably too many coffees during the day. I also throw back a Monster drink, and then you slap in a pre-workout on top of that, and some of those pre-workouts are pretty strong amounts of caffeine, probably, you know, the equivalent of, you know, a few cups of coffee's worth of caffeine. So what I'm going to try to do this weekend, because on the low days, there's no workouts on those days. And again, the premise is you don't need a whole lot of food energy on a day where you're not really training. And because you're kind of in a keto type state, not long enough to get, you know, into a keto, but definitely long enough to feel the effects of not having carbs for those 2 days, I'm sure. So I'm not looking forward to sliding into these. And then on the training days, it's a medium day, so about 200 grams of carbs a day, about 250 grams of protein. So the protein doesn't really change. The only modifications really are the carbs and a little bit of changes in fat. On those high days, you don't want to slow down the absorption of the carbs into the muscle. And that's why he suggested sugary carbs, because they just move quicker through your body. They're processed a lot faster, as opposed to, slower carbohydrates like potatoes and stuff like that take a lot longer to break down. So carb cycling, dropping weight, you can tell that I'm not quite as focused. We'll probably end up cutting it pretty soon. So shout out to Big Paul. So that's where we're at the 8-week mark. Carb cycling, added a coach. And that's going to be the update for this week. Just a quick one. I start the posing tonight. Antonella and I just reviewed some stuff online. I think we came up with, a decent little routine. It's so short, right? Men's physique, you're really hitting 4 or 5 poses at most, and that's it. It's not really a routine. It's just kind of like a display. But you want to do that, as best as possible to display your strengths and kind of conceal some of your weaknesses. My stomach's definitely getting tighter, which I'm very happy with, because that was a big concern that I had going into this. It's always been a concern. My stomach, you get to the age, especially when you lost so much weight, you get that loose, shitty skin that's hanging around. And really the only way to get rid of that's through surgery. You can manipulate your poses a little bit to kind of hide them, or stretch the skin with your hands, or conceal it if you can. But so you do your best to hide those things. So yeah, let's knock off from there at the 8-week point. We'll check back in with you in a week. We'll see how this week went. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Makes a difference. Check out some of our other videos. I've got this whole journey mapped out in a playlist, Road to the Show. So thanks for following me, and I appreciate it. Cheers. Have a great day.